All right, click the links, join the channel here over at Subscribe Star. Thanks to people over at those Cash Apps and Subscribe Stars, Buy Me Coffee type of stuff. You guys are doing the Lord. Why are they supporting your stupid little YouTube channel? Because they're based and they're honk pilled and they're friendly and they're chads and they're red pilled and all the other words that get you put on the FBI has a watch list for the hacker known as 4chan meme culture. Wow, the FBI sounds really lighthearted and frivolous. So base Chad Gina Carano blasts the toxic soyboy cat ladies. Honk pilled, red pilled, and friend pilled. First of all, let me just say that America as a whole is totally screwed. Not Americans. Americans will survive. But the old institution is over. There's just no saving it in its present form. It's better to split apart now without a civil war. There's no way for one system to govern so many people with interests adverse to each other's. That's asking the impossible. All you will get is failure. You look out your window, you go, I see that failure that you were discussing. The longer we continue this farce, the worse things get. Keep in mind, a BLT just deleted 6 Christians because of globalist media stochastic terrorism that brainwashed her into thinking that Christians were her real enemy. Christians don't hold any power. If you think Christians are your problem, then congratulations, you've been psychopped. I mean, similar thing happened to Waukesha, which the media coverage on that was really light. It's weird, like the one group that went and covered the story is some in quotes far right group, National Justice Party, I think is on Odyssey. I think that's what they're called. There was probably a few other groups, but they covered the story. And you go, wait a minute, are you saying CNN didn't go and interview this guy and MSNBC? They didn't go to the town and cover the story? No, it's just this Hugo Boss group. So then your narrative seems to be pretty strange that the only people concerned about Waukesha would be these, like, they're de facto far right. That's your narrative. And it's like, and in fact, the mainstream media did not go cover the story. They did not interview the guy. Only National Justice Party did. That's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of weird things going on. It's like eventually it'll click. So, no, Christians are not the real enemies. That's a psyop, amigo. If Christians are real enemies, if they had the power, it's like they wouldn't allow all this stuff to happen, would they? Oh, I never thought about it that way because the media told me not to think about it. Yeah. So 3 blonde Christian children were deleted by an untreated mentally ill person who, follow me here, everyone is talking about this rise of unstable, mentally ill, dangerous people. Nobody's actually doing anything about it, not at the Fed or state level. And doesn't it, the health issue over the past 3 years that everyone, lost their minds over? Not me. I didn't really worry about that too much, actually. I washed my hands. That was the only thing I did differently. A little. I mean, more so, like more carefully with the fingernails and stuff. That was about all I did. But one of the co-issues with that issue was obesity. You go, oh, okay. So like at the state level, hey, North Dakota, we're gonna have a eat less campaign. Eat less and start walking. California, hey, Nevada, we're gonna eat less, start walking. State level or federal level. It's like, oh wait, I live in America and Nobody did that at the state or federal level. Oh, but that's an issue that's involved with the health. Yeah. Why didn't they do that? Oh, because apparently it's not politically correct to talk about obesity now. But it is a health issue. Isn't that what one of the things the government is supposed to do? Is yeah, but they're not doing that. Okay, it seems like we're paying the government for a lot. I mean, it seems like how many tea in the harbor moments do you need to get where you realize, like, wait, we're paying for the government. You look at all the stuff that's happening in the cities, and you look at the police department and the district attorney. It's not the police department's fault, and I'm not pro-cop by any means, but you look at district attorneys, the police, and they're all working together, and you look at your taxes paying for all this kind of stuff, including the schools, right? And you look at all this stuff, and you go, wait a minute, how many tea in the harbor moments do we need where you realize you're paying for these services? At this point, you're better canceling a lot of these things and just having one, like no government involvement in schools whatsoever. And if you look at the police and the judicial system, where it's anarcho-tyranny, where the law will be applied against people like you, but it won't be applied against other people, that's the anarcho-tyranny aspect of it. He goes, well, you're better stopping the funding for that and having like private militias and private townships or something, because you're paying for these services that you're not getting, or it's like they're using your taxpayer money to oppress you. Anyway, so zero is being done about many of these issues. And doesn't that seem a little weird? They talk about defunding the police and replacing them with mental health workers, but they never did. They just talked. Well, I mean, the BLM scam was fascinating. That was just beautiful to watch. The billions of dollars that went into various BLM organizations. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, so far, of what we can trace, we trace over $2 billion. Gosh, where'd it go? Get ready for this. Nobody knows. Wait, $2 billion? It seems like you could trace that pretty well. Well, some people bought homes with it, and like some people clearly ripped off some of the money to the tune of like they can trace some of the millions of dollars, but the rest of it, there's like $2 billion missing. You go, where did that go? It's a good question. It's weird that nobody asks it. Anyway, I mean, there's so many questions that you look at the media and you're like, aren't you guys supposed to ask questions? Like, well, we're not going to ask what our puppet masters don't allow us to ask. And if you do ask questions, then you're labeled far right and you get buried in the Google algorithm. If you look up, like, I don't know, the right wing people that try to cover stories, like Information Liberation is one that tries to cover some stories, or there's the various like national websites that will try to cover stories a little bit. It's like, oh, those are labeled by Snopes to be far-right extremists, but they're the only ones who are asking questions, and the mainstream media literally is not asking questions. They literally did not go to Waukesha and interview the people there or the guy who was charged with the crime. Only the extreme far-right did that. Oh, so that's like, yeah, the extreme far-right wants to protect kids. Those are extremist values nowadays. Like, sign me up for that. Anyway, and nobody asks, like, well, why are there so many violent, mentally ill people who kind of seem to come from nowhere over the years? So it seems like these people need a social reinforcement structure, aka a family, extended family, and tribe, which means you have to remove the things that help destroy the families and put the father back in the home, which just to say that causes them to S themselves, because that's a far right wing dog whistle. The left is terrified of a strong family and tribal structure for you, not for them. They want you as weak as possible. So they push the found family, the rootless Bolshevik model, and there's no solution for this. Because the people who pushed liberalism, feminism, communism, socialism, open doors decades ago hoped it would destroy the families and destroy America, and it has. Look at 1950s America compared to now. America used to be a pretty nice place with hope for the future. All that is gone, buddy. That is just, look at those images of 1950, the videos, the photographs of the post-war years, and like, I can't really get into it, but yeah. The change. Look at the change in those small. Like, they had these images of neighborhoods changing over the years of like starter homes. Like, believe it or not, there was such a concept in the 40s and 50s of starter homes. Yeah, you'll own various homes over your lifetime. You're like, home ownership. Yeah, and then a vacation home, and then if you're lucky, if you work very hard, rental properties and a vacation home. Oh, is that common nowadays? No, don't get me wrong. Like, even your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation, who did that kind of stuff, they had to work hard to do it, for sure. But they were able to do it and still be middle class. And like, wait, you own multiple homes, vacation homes, and rental homes. You manage properties every year, and you were like still middle class. Yeah, because I mean, you had to do the work on the homes yourself, and you had to learn how to do it. And you get the idea. It's like, you look around now, you're like, this is such a radically different America you're describing in like a few decades. It's just not possible to do that now because of the massive inflation, the devaluation of the dollar. Yeah, that leads you down to all kind of other questions too. Anyway, that America is long gone for now. It is dead forever. You're not going to be able to save all of America, maybe pieces of it if you really, really want to. So now they cheer for boys dancing for these clapping NPCs. And then they remove their ability to bud future branches in the future. They like, all this is all actually happening. It's just I'm putting on these nightmare dystopian clown world glasses. Yeah, nothing's changed. It's just a hell world outside. Oh, it's all actually happening. It's weird that we're just sitting down for the soy slop, the bread and circuses, the sports ball, and the video games. Yep, gotta order Uber Eats and have more video games. Nobody looks at the root causes in Biden and Garland and the press secretary refused to discuss anti-Christian hate. That's not a country that's going to be a country for long. If you get rid of the people who set conditions in motion, set forces in motion, then euphemism is just getting ridiculous. The country will be radically different if you remove the people who created a certain standard, and they disappear. Then it's like, well, you're going to have a very different conditions. So America is not a first world nation. It was in 1950, but if you look at what's happening now, no, there's no way to call it a first world nation. I don't know much about Gina Carano, except the one thing that caught my attention. She seems like a naive normie. Was she gave the story about the red and the black ants living together in a jar, and they don't have any conflict because they occupy different environmental areas, and then someone comes along and shakes the jar, and they fight each other and delete each other and wipe each other out. And she goes, well, who's shaking the jar? And that rang on my radar, but we'll leave it at that. Don't say anything in the comments. So Korea, Japan, Scandinavian countries are first world. America has, in Chicago alone, there's a homicide every day. That's one city in America. First world nations don't have a homicide in one city every 12 hours. America's got Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, just hell worlds, just hell cities where a homicide every day. Oh yeah, that's a common occurrence. If you should see like a 4th of July weekend, it's weird that's not the mainstream media. Oh no, the mainstream media is going to focus on some like just some nonsense issue about some Karen who said the N-word in the park or something. It's like, yeah, that should occupy the front page. But 40 people got deleted over the 4th of July weekend in Chicago at a like an outdoor barbecue or something. Like that doesn't make front page across the nation. No, why would it? I don't know. Anyway, so first world nations don't have BLT terrorists running a college or open looting. Or after a while, you look at America, you take off the rose-colored glasses, and you actually see it for what it is. I'm sort of wondering if the trans issue is going to be the thing that awakens the moderate left wing. The right wing is really irrelevant because, like, you know where they stand. But if the moderate left wing awakens, then they could change things. If anything can do it, it might be this. And, you know, a lot of that is copium. It's like nobody's going to get off their couches until you light the couch on fire, metaphorically speaking. So the issue is more complicated because here it was a combination of the BLT issue, but also all the attackers were pox, so it looked like an anti-white attack against the blonde swimmer girl. Their energy was really, really violent. You got a situation at a college, a guest speaker gives a talk, people politely ask questions at the end, or that's the way it should be. That's what happens at a college. It's for free speech and the exchange of ideas. It's where you get exposed to new ideas and you learn to handle things in an adult manner. Like, oh, you sweet summer child, this isn't the 50s anymore. So when I see so many examples of college kids behaving like I'll say spoiled children instead of the thing I was going to say, I realize that the schools are not what they used to be. These kids didn't get their own merit. The college degree doesn't mean anything if they're there. That's like if you see these kids in a college, then the college is pointless. If they're there getting their liberal arts degrees, it's meaningless because a lot of these people are just too dumb for college. They pass through high school and then they just get passed through college to get their BA, and it's like, yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It's not gonna help you in anything. It just means, it means nothing. Like nowadays, it means nothing. So these kids were violently attacking the blonde swimmer girl because she said words that they didn't understand and they couldn't articulate why they were upset. But most of the crowd is brainwashed. They're just mentally ill. They're violent, and they're pretty far to the left of that curve. They've been told to focus all their hate on this blonde woman or blonde people in general, or anyone who goes against the narrative. And they don't ever have to think about it. It's just stimulus response. A few decades ago, this would have been a shameful black mark on a college. Instead, one of the deans got on Twitter and she lied about the event. She said it was a peaceful protest. And that, like the stuff is literally on camera. And the police were barricaded in a room for a couple hours. Then she blocked the blonde swimmer and made her account private. That's why I say there's no saving the system. You get people with entirely different standards of conduct. These people behave like spoiled children. In our world, this stuff just would be inconceivable because they wouldn't be there in the first place. Let me say that the system got us here. Is there any indication that the system is capable of turning this ship around? No. So if there's a solution, it won't come from the system. Right. And people hear that and go, oh, don't glow from orbit, buddy. I don't think I am. I'm just laying it out pretty simply. If you have a different conclusion, let me know. It's like people go, oh, we're going to break this story wide open. You go, so the corrupt globalist media is going to cover the corrupt media? Oh, I never thought about that. So yeah, the FBI really needs to start making arrests. So Mayorkas and Garland and the Department of Justice, FBI, Homeland Security, the corrupt system is going to arrest themselves? Who exactly is going to do the arresting? Who's going to report on the story when the media has a long history of lying to you? You know the media is biased by now. You know the system is corrupt. There's no one to break the story. There's no one to fix this because the system that is in place is what got you here. It's already beyond redemption. There's no arrests that are going to be made. Oh, it's those dang rhinos in office. But it's been like this for 50 years, and it only gets worse. There's nobody in office who is going to save this because they just keep voting more money to Ukraine, and like there's nobody you can vote for that is going to make a difference. Like this solution is not going to come from within the system. Sometimes the right, I say all the time, the right wing, the normie, MAGA area of that spectrum, you look at them and you just want to you just lose your mind looking at these people. Like, yeah, those DeSantis and Trump are going to come out there, and have you looked at their voting record? Have you looked at their positions? If you think, it's like this external messiah complex that the right wing has. And left wing does it too. It's just the right wing obviously bothers me more. I mean, I'll leave it at there. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, support channel, Cash App, I make offer the various other links, and I'll see you guys all next episode.